back, boys and girls, to another episode of K-Fave Comparisons. My name is Mr. Know-It-All, Daniel John Schaefer, and I am joined here once again by the king of the K-Fave kickflip, Mr. Wex Breaking the Lawson. Wex, how are we living today, son?
Oh, living pretty well. Nice weather today in Nashville. Really excited about this episode. Wrestling was pretty good last night, too, on Dynamite. Everything's going good in the world of wrestling for Wex Breaking the Lawson.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I am stoked indeed for today's episode. It is another slice of the Baker's Dozen, and here to do the open and close with us, we have the patron saint of the Rock Block himself, Mr. Jesse Baker. How you doing, bro?
Jesse, no more doubles. I'm doing great.
Love it. I love it. I am so excited. Baker's Dozen has been awesome. The Akira one has gotten quite a bit of downloads. Scott's has gotten quite a bit of downloads. I'm really excited to hear the Jesse on Jesse action. It's gonna be good stuff. I am super hyped. Man. Have you guys gotten any feedback on last week's episode? We always get a spike for AEW. I mean, that did happen for sure.
Nothing but good things. I wasn't able to be on it because of some other stuff, but I really regretted missing it. I've heard great things. The episode was fantastic.
I am hyped for it. I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Lots more engagement on social media for this episode. Been hearing, been getting a lot more engagement on Twitter. Yes. I haven't actually, read the reviews of the actual podcast on that thing or heard, but good feedback on the Twitter and the TikTok. Yeah, we gain a little steam on that TikTok too. You see.
Yes, I'm loving it. Please be sure to leave a review wherever you listen to this right now, whether it's Spotify, Apple, Google, whatever. Leave us a review. That is very much appreciated. Before we get into the meat and potatoes of the episode, though, we are here to do our favorite segment of the week. It's Wexley Spills the Tea. Fill up my cup, baby. What you got for me?
I'm drinking Kool-Aid today, but we can pretend it's tea. But, we're going to start off with the WWE news like we always do, and pretty much lots of just nothing good, lots of sad and just disappointing news for WWE. Nothing good all around. Pete Dunne is now known as Butch.
Yep.
Just Butch.
Rough, man. I don't know. I don't know how you go from being Pete Dunne, being the Bruiserweight, a brand built in. You have tons of action figures already. You have championship runs. You've been on Raw several times. You've had storylines on the main roster as Pete Dunne. It makes no sense to change his name. It makes no sense. It's bad. Honestly, I know I don't want anybody to lose their job and lose their livelihood and not make a paycheck, but God, I really hope they just cut him. I just hope they cut him because, Jesus, he's got to be. The Indie's got to be better than being Butch, man. It's got to be better than being Butch.
Not only was it snake bit from the get-go, but also the first match that he's involved in with his new shitty name happens to be when Big E breaks his neck.
Yeah, then that's actually what I was gonna lead into next, is that one of our dear beloved favorite wrestlers' possible career-ending neck injury broken by Ridge Holland botching a suplex on the outside.
Yeah, it's rough.
And it was completely botched, and a lot of people have, overanalyzed how he fucked it up, whatever. He doesn't have a lot of heat apparently backstage. We're not gonna, dig too deep into this.
Belly to bellies are risky. No matter who's throwing them, they are risky. I've seen the bump, and to be totally honest, it's not. His form looked like just a bad landing, man. I'm not blaming it on E at all. It just looked like these things just happen sometimes. It's
very
sucks,
unfortunate,
but
dude. It sucks for Big E.
Totally, yeah.
How many careers can you ruin in one match, though?
Oh, yeah. That's rough. 2-1. Two birds, one stone. WWE's knocking it out of the park these days. Dingers.
And then, of course, WWE stooped a lot of us this week into sitting through 3 hours of Raw thinking Cody Rhodes was going to debut, and not a fucking thing happened, and it was just as shitty as any other Raw. 30 to 40% video packages and recaps. And I thought it was just like that live, because I went to live Raw 2 or 3 months ago in Nashville, and I was like, dude, there's a lot of fucking video packages, but that's just how Raw is.
Yeah, that's just what Raw is at this point.
They just recap everything.
Yeah, I feel like the internet kind of duped ourselves, though. We just assumed because of Jacksonville and because of old Uncle Dave Miltsy that we were just going to see it. I don't think WWE ever said anything or even kind of hinted at Cody Rhodes. So can't really put that one on them. That's all on us. And the rumors are that's still the case. Rumors are it's still going to be Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins at Mania. I mean, I think it's smart of them now to just make it a surprise, like just almost like an open challenge at Mania, whoever faces Rollins. So that way, if they don't get him, it's not like they're like, well, we never said we were going to have him in the first place. Like it's all dirt sheet, blah, 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 blah. So I don't know. At this point now, it's like, I don't even know. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what it's like. I want to see Cody because I'm a Cody fan. I know that like lately it's not popular to say that you like Cody Rhodes, but I like Cody Rhodes, and I would like to see him wrestle Seth Rollins, but I would also not. I don't want to see him in that WWE creative. Like, I just don't think it's good. I don't think there's any, like, his character. I don't know where it's really going to fit on the shows.
Our best case scenario is that they hold off until SummerSlam and it just happens in Nashville.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I mean, if Cody comes back as a heel, like 100%, because if he would just lean into that heelness that he was doing, that's just the only thing that pissed me off about Cody is that he tried to be a baby face when he was clearly like just doing everything he could to like, be pretty ridiculous. Well, speaking of Seth Rollins, did you see him on Jimmy Fallon last night give that leprechaun the fucking stomp?
Yeah, I did. It actually looked great too.
I thought it was fucking hilarious.
It looks great. Like the leprechaun did a great job taking the bump.
Presentation of it just Seth Rollins he's great.
Yeah,
his heel character is like, I don't know. I love how charismatic he is, and he never really did that much during like the Shield run or his like even his chicken shit heel run. Like this is the best. This is like the best Seth Rollins, I think, right now. He's killing it.
I love it. I'm a big fan. I mean, I've always been a fan of Seth.
That's the question.
What is it?
Why didn't they let it be Hornswoggle?
Oh yeah,
because they don't want to pay him.
Probably.
They're probably some legal shit. And speaking of legal shit, as we know, MLW is suing WWE over some like monopoly bullshit. But they are citing the success of AEW as a way to dismiss the lawsuit, saying, "Oh, we're not a monopoly. We're not the only wrestling company. Like, look how successful they are." So finally.
I mean, he's got a point though. He does have a point. I mean,
finally, but it's like they, won't admit it like on the, you know what I mean? But now it's finally like in a public forum and, the courtroom admitted that, hey, they're doing pretty good. And, they're still going to be like, the crazy WWE fanboys that only watch WWE are still going to be like, no, AEW's Bush League, but it's just how it is. The internet fucking community of wrestling fans is fucking just horrible. They're outrageous when we get the tribalism, people just sticking to like their
we like all kinds of wrestling on here. We like wrestling.
MLW, all that shit.
Yeah.
So we want to say on here, so we're gonna kind of stick with the WWE. Just a rest in peace to Scott Hall. One of all of our, we grew up with this guy. It hits different. It's not like some old ass '80s wrestler guy dying. It's a dude that we've been watching since we fucking started watching wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the Shawn Razor run. I mean, I'm like 9 years old. That's like peak WWF. I mean, that to me was everything. I thought that dude was the coolest guy on earth, and apparently he was the coolest guy on earth. He didn't even have to try. He's just effortless, man. Definitely gonna miss Scott Hall for sure. All the thoughts and prayers go out to his family for sure. I know that's like kind of paper thin with a lot of people, but I mean, I really do genuinely feel like Scott Hall, it's almost like you don't really realize how much of a main event guy, how big of a star he really was, how much space he took up in your fandom until this happens. Because you assume like we got 20 more years of Scott Hall on podcasts and whatever else, like
especially after him getting sober and shit. We thought like, he's doing great.
Yeah, and it just didn't happen, and that sucks. Legend for sure. Will never be forgotten. Best punch in the business, bar none. I don't care what anybody says. Best right hand in the history of professional wrestling. R.I.P. Scott Hall.
I think the biggest part is the recovery and the fact that he accomplished it, he got through it, and like to hear a loose blood clot after a hip replacement, then 3 heart attacks is how it happened. I mean, like that to me is the most heartbreaking part is that he did it. And man, bad times don't last, but bad guys do. R.I.P.
Love it. Forever, man.
All right. So moving on to some sad shit in a different way. So you guys saw this Control Your Narrative bullshit, right?
Oh God.
And you saw the rules to their it's like fucking Raw Underground meets Fake Fight Club meets I don't know what the fuck's going on. The rules were dumb as fuck. If anybody read these rules they have, like
Yeah,
I advise you. It's fucking
trash.
dumb as hell.
I almost don't even want to talk about them, like, because I feel like there's such a parody of a promotion at this point, and it's embarrassing. Like, I don't know. I mean,
rule number 1: the match isn't against your opponent; the match is against yourself. That's something like that.
It's just so bad, and like, it's just such a. It's awful. I don't know. Yeah, it's awful. I don't.
And it's got a lot of questionable people associated with it. So
done. I'm done with it. Done with it.
It's like, now do we question Vince for letting these people go anymore?
No, absolutely not.
You do have a point there, Jesse. You got a good point. Something pretty cool that's coming up here soon in Nashville. Just announced Matt Cardona is taking on Nick Aldis for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship at the Crockett Cup.
Yep.
And Nashville is the last place that Nick Aldis won the title back from Cody Rhodes at NWA 70. So
I was there.
It's going to be pretty awesome.
That is exciting. I'm excited to be covering the NWA for the first time next week. It's going to be super, super, super exciting. But before we get to that, what else we got in the news? Anything else?
Oh yeah, we got some interesting AEW stuff. It was pretty eventful in the past few days. Cody Rhodes officially moved to the alumni section on AEWshop.com, so his stuff is still there, but he's an alumni. So this is a big work. That's what's going on here. Are they working?
Maybe it is. Maybe it is
yanking our chain.
Maybe it fucking work.
I did say that.
Is this Brian Pillman times 90? Like, is he really getting us?
I mean, I don't know. If he is, he's doing a great job, though.
Damn it, Cody. I hate you. I love you. Fuck you. I love you. That's how I feel about it. Yeah, but
the last time I made a prediction about all of this, I thought Cody was going to end up buying ROH. Tony did instead. Now I believe it's a work fucking 5,000% more than I did.
Maybe he's going to come back as ROH guy. Who knows? President of the Ring of Honor or something like that.
Yeah, because he can't be world champion in AEW. You can't even go for it. He's the fucking ROH world champion. It's going to be Cody and Gresham.
Well, he could if he gets re-signed.
Jonathan Gresham, the ROH world champion, is actually in contract negotiations with Tony Khan right now, but they're not sure if it's going to be it's not official if it's an AEW contract or an ROH contract, since he's doing both. But maybe it would be cool to see him get a little something, and we could appear on both shows because Jonathan Gresham fucking rules, and just the dream matches there.
Yeah,
I hate Jonathan Gresham because I love Jordan Grace.
We know that heat that you get, that heat for Gresham. For old Grace, but who's got a lot of backstage heat right now at AEW? Joey Janela, because apparently he's been injuring people. He broke Kingston's orbital bone, and they had to rework weeks of TV because he was actually supposed to feud with Jericho way before they actually had their feud. And they are not extending his contract. I was going to say he's not going to get another offer, but yeah. It's not his choice. They just, I think they're done with Joey Janela. He's apparently injured multiple people on the roster and just has a bad reputation. But that's unfortunate because I was a pretty big fan of Joey Janela, and you don't really get to see him on AEW anymore. Yeah, you got to watch the GCW, which we all love some GCW around here. But that's crazy. I never thought of Joey Janela as a guy who would injure people. But hey, shit happens, I guess.
That sounds a little political to me, but I don't buy that. They're not re-signing him because he's dangerous in the ring. I don't buy that. I just don't buy that.
You think they're over it? You think they're just over it because they got fucking other wrestlers who are way more profitable and bigger stars? Yeah,
and I think Joey's probably spouted off at the mouth, and it's probably just more of an attitude. I don't know any of this obviously, but I like the idea that he's just dangerous and that's when they're not renewing him. That's not true. That's just definitely not true.
Some good speculation going on right there, though. So
they still have Nyla Rose, right?
Yeah, no kidding.
Come on.
Jeez.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So last night on Dynamite, my prediction was actually right about the Scorpio Sky Wardlow thing. Scorpio Sky actually retained, and MJF cost him the match, which you thought it was going to be the reverse. MJF's going to help him win, and that was going to lead there. But Scorpio Sky still the TNT champion. So I don't really know where they're going to go with that.
Long. I don't know where it's going to go, but
I'm really looking forward to the Wardlow and MJF thing. That's going to be awesome because he almost got to powerbomb him last night, but then Shawn Spears came down there and beat the fuck out of him. So that's going to be pretty interesting. And one of the cooler things that happened last night that I talked shit about last week is Chris Jericho didn't like it, but he pulled full heel turn and called himself a sports entertainer, and I think it's fucking pure gold. It's genius. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's great. The
promo was top level. I think the name is still ridiculous, but the promo was
ridiculous. But
grade A, A++.
It makes more sense now, and it works better. And then he made up like the new names, Daddy Magic, Mike, and just all these fucking. It just great. It went from something that I thought was going to be bullshit, and Jericho manages to just. He's good. He's good, and he's good. You know, he's good when he's good, and he's okay when he's not. You know.
There are worse ways to be. I think it's perfect. Like, you want to talk about heel shit at that age and what he's doing and everything that we talked about where we were like, just do commentary or just get the fuck off TV. And now we're like, it's actually kind of fun to watch.
Oh,
and he got back into shape, got his shit back together, and got some better ideas. I think that boozing was fucking him up, making him come up with the stupid shit. And he was going too heavy on that, and now he's looking better, getting back in there. And
he looks great, dude. He's super fit.
We love what you're doing, Chris Jericho.
Yep, big fan.
They call him the demo guy for the reason. He knows his demographic, and he's knowing how to work them, and it's great. I'm loving it.
Well, and the only other multiple times also.
Yeah. Only other big thing in the news is that Thunder Rosa finally got that title win that we knew was going to happen in a pretty gnarly cage match. It was not as good as their lights out match. I'll say that. It was not as good, but it was still a pretty fucking good match. Like,
it was a good match. Yes, it was a good match.
Above average, great,
and it was time. It's time to drop the title for sure.
And the cage was a little weird last night. It was kind of like a Hell in a Cell without a top because you could still get on the ground around the cage. I don't know if the ring was smaller or the cage was bigger, but it made sense. You got to get better angles from the cameramen, and you could just do a little bit more with that, I think, instead of just having the cage right up against the wall.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was a cool fit. I think it looked good. I liked that vibe. I like that it's. I just like that it's different than WWE's, honestly.
Yeah, and I like the fact that they don't do the escape stipulation because I fucking hate that in a cage match. You're supposed to keep the competitors in and keep other people out. It's not like that's dumb because you could just run and escape from the beginning. Just I don't even want to get into the logic of that, but yeah, pretty good match. And yeah, Jesse, what'd you think about it?
I mean, I'm a big fan of what AEW has pulled off finally in the women's division in terms of Thunder Rosa, Britt, like. There are certain people, there are certain talents that it was really weak.
Specifically, yeah.
It was really weak for a minute. And the idea of signing Thunder Rosa and having that person in there, fucking clutch. And I'm proud of them for seeing that, recognizing that, and going forward. I think that all plays into why we're seeing people like Cody and Brandy maybe not be involved so much. I think that it just up and down redesign, ROH. I also think a lot of the other part of it is work too, but everything's a work.
Yeah.
Wrestling's real, people are fake.
Totally true.
Life is a fucking work, dude.
Speaking of wrestling being real and people being fake, let's get to the meat and potatoes of this week's episode. It is some Jesse on Jesse action. Mr. Jesse Baker interviews Jesse Butler. And without further ado, here is the Baker's Dozen.
Welcome back to Kayfabe Comparisons, the third edition of the Baker's Dozen, my once-a-month interview series where I get the amazing opportunity to talk to either independent professional wrestlers or people involved in the business. We are so lucky this month to have Mr. Jesse Butler. Jesse, how you doing?
I'm great, dude. Thank you for having me. It's a little weird saying my own name, but thanks for having me, Jesse. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, the Jesse on Jesse thing is fun. I'm going to ask the basic question first. You know, obviously you have a very long-term background in wrestling, and I know a little bit. I don't want to speak for you. I think it would be more interesting if you just said, how did you get your start?
So I have known Brett Eisen since we were in the 7th grade. And we both always loved wrestling. We bonded over like a weird comic strip called Get Fuzzy, I think, and wrestling. And then of course music and all that other stuff. But we started backyard wrestling together, roughly about the 7th, 8th grade. Kids watch wrestling, get bored, want to try stuff, do the stuff you're not supposed to do. So we started backyard wrestling, and then it was 8th grade. He got zoned to go to a different school that they had just built, and he had met a couple of other kids who were into wrestling. Then we got into high school. and we met a few more people, and like it was like a weird just like merging of like friend groups kind of. So we started backyard wrestling, and we would go, you know, to the links of making flyers to pass out at school, even though like people didn't really show up. But through that, a girl we went to school with, her, I think uncle, one of her relatives was a local independent wrestler. And they just stopped by to see what we were doing and offered to train us so we didn't get hurt. And then it turned into being a little bit more than that, where we were on their shows, because, you know, if you can have kids in high school, you know, promote your shows and get more people in, then, you know, why wouldn't you take advantage of that? So that's pretty much it. We were backyard wrestling, passed out flyers. I guess this girl showed it to her uncle or whatever, and then we just got trained through that. And yeah, that's the long and short of it. Or the long or the short. Short or the long? I don't fucking know.
I don't want to rip off of anybody else's series, but there's one story that you told on IWTV Southern Origins with Mr. Kerry Awful about having to chase down someone for money, and I wondered if you wouldn't mind repeating that.
Yeah, of course. So this is a fun one because this is the first time that I had a gun pulled on me. I was maybe 15, 14, 15, somewhere around in there, somewhere that ballpark. So we had been trained by Kilo and GQ and those names now are just like, not to like dunk on anyone, but kind of generic now. But we were trained by Kilo and GQ at what's it called? HWA Havoc Wrestling Alliance, I think. And part of the training was like, we wrestled there. We traveled with them to Manchester to set up rings and like just watch and get a feel for that. And then they took us to a show, I believe, I want to say Dixon, but I could be wrong. So at some point during the show, the promoter like runs off. It's outside of a bar. The promoter runs off with all the money. And then me, Travis, my mom, and Kilo, Travis and I were just happy to be by my mom's car. And Kilo just like yells at my mom, is like, Maria, follow that car. So then we're in the car just because we were near it. And we're following this guy going through all these sketchy back roads and all this shit. We finally, like, he stops at this house, jumps out, runs inside. And as I remember it, Travis and I are sitting in the back seat. And as dude runs in the house, another guy like steps out with a shotgun and points it at the car and is basically just like, get off my property. And Kilo looks, and this is the first time we were supposed to get paid. Kilo looks back at me and Travis. He goes, sorry, boys, $5 ain't worth it. So then we just like haul ass back to the bar where the show was happening. And yeah, it's wild times.
It's like only in this business, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like that stereotypical Southern carny shit you hear about all the time. And at the time, it was exhilarating. Now it's just funny to me.
Right.
I love it.
Speaking of only this business, and another one that is kind of similar, I'm very curious in terms. I know you mentioned how you and Brett bonded over music and things like that, and I know that you were involved in quite a few. I guess I'm going to say hardcore.
Sure.
You know, maybe that's not right, but what's a genre anymore? But you know, in terms of bands, things like that, I know about Modern Hell, obviously, and I know Brett obviously has a background in that stuff too. What to you were the similarities of the music scene thing, the wrestling thing? Like, why do those things mesh?
Oh man, it's funny because before Kerry even trained Kerry Awful, I remember sitting at his apartment, and most likely it was like me and Brett and Kerry and a few other people, maybe Travis. And I think it was Kerry really that painted the picture for me, where like independent wrestling mirrors like an independent touring band, because it's just a bunch of people stuffed in one car trying to make it from city to city without like just losing their asses, basically. You know, you're thankful for either the food you get or the money you get, and then it's back to the grind the next night. It's so crazy because like I feel like in those two worlds, they're possibly the only two worlds where you get to work with the people that you look up to or the people that truly inspired you. Hopefully if you make it within, the span of their lifetime, you'll either get to wrestle them or, share a stage with them or, whatever, have a feature on a record. It's just, they're two mediums of art where, I don't know, I feel like you truly get to really leave everything in your art, if for me in wrestling, it was, either deathmatch wrestling, has ever since I was like 13 has been like my favorite form of wrestling. So for me, it's like, okay, I love this. How can I relate this to what I know? And honestly, the probably the best example of me being self-aware and these two worlds colliding was the first Sup show, where I'm standing in the ring. I'm about to ring announce for the first time, and I'm in like the event room of the Cobra, the venue side of the Cobra. And I'm like, okay, this is a small, dimly lit room that's packed. I've been here. I know what to do. And then I just yelled. With deathmatch wrestling, it was basically just like another form of like hardcore music to me, where you're just out there. You've got, 10 minutes tops, 10, 15 minutes tops. So you've got to make those 10 to 15 minutes count, So it's just like 10 to 15 minutes of just like hit it hard, hit it fast, no mercy, don't let up, and just, create the best art you can in that short period of time.
I feel as though you developed such a unique style that was almost instantaneously picked up on by people, not only between ring announcing, but also commentary. And I know that Sup was a huge part of it, and we'll definitely get there. But in terms of actually being able to take on other gigs and tour and be around people and learn how to work with people in those instances, was there anything influential from an outside perspective, or was it just kind of gut?
You mean in terms of like just the way I did the ring announcing?
Yep.
Oh man, it was straight up like I was scared shitless. Like I did it out of necessity because to be completely transparent, we couldn't afford to pay anybody to ring announce at that point. The budget was so paper thin. It was a little bit of luck, honestly. And it was me being self-aware and me being lucky to realize that I recognized the situation I was in. So because I recognized that situation, and because I knew that I had been in countless dimly lit packed rooms that had no air conditioning, I was like, this is a hardcore show. There's only one way I can do this. And then from there, we had other people fill in and do ring announcing for a while to try, because I wanted to focus more on commentary. But then it kind of became a thing of like, I don't want to say it made Koo laugh, but it kind of just like, I don't know. Koo was like, we just have to keep doing it. Either it made him laugh or it was just easier. But I actually never wanted to be known for being I didn't want to be known for being a ring announcer. I wanted to be known for commentary, but I realized that for whatever reason, people seemed to like the way I did ring announcing. So I was able to kind of leverage that as a foot in the door some places where like, at New South, for instance, I did commentary work, and then for their pre-shows, they would have me do ring announcing. But I would do that because I was already there, but I wanted to focus more on commentary. But I knew I was basically locked in at that point, until I left, that they're going to ask me to do these things, but I'm going to get to do this one thing that I really want to do. And then it just kind of snowballed from there. I did it, a ring announce for GCW because of Sup, because of the Sup audience. And I think I just think it has a lot to do with the fact that I was aware of how I grew up in hardcore shows, and I recognized that room and that setting, and I was able to just be, I think, the purest form of myself in that moment. And the rest is kind of history there.
There's something in town specifically that I see about how wrestling and specifically independent wrestling has been adaptable. The stadium in shows and things, for example, Josephus, rest in peace, the idea of flyering, the idea of going out of your way to try and bring in this other audience, I think the adaptability there is unspoken now, but is why everything is succeeding so much at this point in time. And that's why it is very interesting to me. Speaking of which, just brief history, like Southern Underground Pro. My first show was the first show at Beast, but I didn't get to attend any of the ones before that. But like, how did that come together, and what was the impetus of that? And like, maybe fill in some of our audience in terms of who actually is involved, if you don't mind.
Sure. So I'll just give a quick little, I guess, history lesson on how SUP started. Me, my girlfriend Brittany, and our friend Chris all used to do a podcast called Kick Out at 2, where we would interview wrestlers. Chris and I have actually known Koo for actually, I don't know. I know I've known Koo for probably over 10 to 12 years at this point. Chris may have known Koo when he lived here the first time, but I'm not sure. So anyway,
we demonstrate in case anybody doesn't know, we're Kevin Koo, part of Violence is Forever. Very recently in MLW, all over every independent place ever. I just want to make that clear.
True. Yeah. So we were going down to Atlanta a bunch to do interviews, and actually that's where I got my first chance to do commentary, was in Atlanta for Atlanta Wrestling Entertainment. But we reconnected with Koo there because he was living in or around Atlanta at the time. And we stayed in contact after that. Every time we'd go down there, for the most part, we'd see him, we'd hang out, we'd go to these shows. He started getting on the Atlanta Wrestling Entertainment shows. And then he hit me up. I don't remember how, I guess about 6 years ago at this point, and said he was moving back to Nashville. I had mentioned to him that I wanted to do like just an outside spot show outside of like, I wanted to try to do it outside like Fat Bites or something. Just to see what was there. I knew I wanted to do something different, but didn't really know how to go about doing it. He hit me up and was like, I want to do a show, and basically was just like, let's do it. So at that point it was me, him, and Brittany. And then let's see, when Dominic Greeny was the Bone Storm champion, he was like, hey, I want to have a little more input. So then he came into the fold, which was great because he's always kind of been the bridge to like AIW. So we were getting more AIW students in, more AIW regulars in. And Dylan Hales, who has done commentary for us since the first show. His input has kind of grown over time. And now, over the last, I would say since probably before COVID, it's been mostly Koo and Dylan handling things. Now, who handles what, I honestly am not sure at this point, because a while back I like stepped away from all booking duties and all that. It was just like, I want to focus on me and what I'm doing, and I just want to have fun. So yeah, Koo and Dylan would be the two handling basically everything at this point.
So, like I said, my first one was the first Basement East show, and I regularly attend them every time I can. And it's some of my favorite stuff on the face of the planet Earth. And I've seen so many independent talent that got, it's there first, and then within 6 months you see them elsewhere. It's you can tell. It is so important, I think, to the culture, to the history of all of the independent scenario here, and especially in Nashville and Tennessee, and like kind of breaking the stigma of Southern quote unquote wrestling and turning it into something different. So I couldn't applaud all of you guys more. I think I also know Basement East has been such a great host to everything. And uniquely, we do have a story about when the tornado hit Basement East and the place that I currently work, which I did not work at the time, but we got to move that one show, and it was the last show that they did before everything shut down at Exit In, when we had to move that show on. As we were recording, it would be 2 days ago, 2 years ago.
Wow.
And we all kind of didn't know if that could have been the last show there ever, we thought.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was super intense, and there were some real fun complications, but at the same time, I don't know. I had a really good time. I fucked up playing a couple of people's music. It happens.
I actually really, the Exit In was my favorite venue for a long time as a kid. I saw the Misfits there. I saw Himsa there. I saw all these crazy bands there. So being able to stand on that stage and do something in that room meant so much to me. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I wanted to express that. Like, I grew up going to shows there specifically. So being able to do something in a venue that was like sort of a mecca for me was like unreal. I did everything in my power to try to get a solid picture of me on that stage. And I never saw like the actual picture that got taken, but somebody snapped a picture of me on the stage, and that venue has always just been so fucking cool to me.
Awesome. That's amazing. And my history is a long way back with that place. So hearing that also rules. Speaking of who's been a great host, though, we definitely do have April 17th. As we're recording 1 month from today, so as you'll hear this 1 month from tomorrow, April 17th, Southern Underground Pro Wrestling at the Basement East, right back where a lot of people probably first figured it out, even though it wasn't the first place it was. Is there anything about that specific show that you want to disclose?
That'll be my last sub show. That'll be my final sub show. I have loved every single year that I've been involved with SUP. Obviously, helping start it and whatnot. Where
are we at? Is it 5 years now? 6?
Yeah, I think including pandemic years, yeah, it's at 5 years now, which is insane to me. Half a decade. It seems like we just started this like a year ago, but time doesn't feel real anymore anyway. So, no, I just, I recently, 2021 kind of beat the shit out of me. And I don't have the passion for wrestling that I once had right now. And I feel kind of selfish holding that spot that could really do somebody a lot of good because, when SUP has consistent shows, there's a lot of eyes on those shows. So for me to kind of just be so stagnant and stale in a position that somebody could really benefit from is really selfish in my opinion. So, April 17th will be my final sub show, and they've started announcing matches, and I think it's going to be a banger of a show.
I know for a fact that it's going to be a banger of a show. I know that everybody on Kayfabe Comparisons definitely will be in attendance. I'm bringing a bunch of friends. We've already bought tickets. It's going to be a good time. I would suggest for anybody who has not purchased tickets to that event yet that you look into it now, because this one's probably going to hit capacity sooner than anyone thinks, if I had to guess.
Something about this one feels different, and it feels like it could be a sellout.
Yeah, I think it will. Actually, I know it will. But now is when we get into other super fun stuff. So I went to the Ring of Honor Dojo Pro tapings and witnessed you take a real intense bump from Jeff Cobb. And I'm curious about your experience with that.
So I'll break down all the walls for this one because it's really fun. So I've known Logan for a while, who was like the creator of Dojo Pro. Huh? He, excuse me. He offered me a few different roles and positions. And honestly, at the time I was just so nervous. I was like, man, I don't want to mess anything up. Like, you could probably, I don't remember what he threw at me, but I was like, Carey would probably be really good for that, and so would be really good for this. I kind of just kept like dodging positions because I just didn't want to screw anything up. So finally one night, Logan texted me, and he said, "Do you think you could take Jeff Cobb's finish?" And I was like, "I'm pretty sure it's just like a rotating body slam, but let me look just to make sure we're on the same page." I looked it up, and I was like, "Oh yeah, 100%." He was like, "Cool. I think we're gonna do a segment where basically he just fucks you off." And I was like, "Okay, cool." So we get there. I meet Jeff. Super nice guy. Just incredibly nice guy. We go over the spots super quick, and I go when he picks me up. I go to post on his leg, and he was like, "No, don't post. You're a fan. You're supposed to be a fan in this. Don't post. Somebody's gonna pick up on it." And I was like, "Oh shit, yeah." Just instinct, just a small thing.
What a fucking like clutch thing, though.
Yeah, like if that had been any other moment, like that would have been make or break. But this dude is so fucking strong. He made me feel like an infant. So he, we talk about doing the deal, whatever. I'm on the outside, and I'm supposed to be just like shitty fan, giving him like nothing but just like the worst shit. So he's like, "Okay, cool, whatever." Goes to walk away, blasts me. I fall, crawl away, throws me into the ring. I'm pleading like, "Sorry, dude, I'm just a fan. I didn't mean it. He picks me up. We shake hands. He holds my hand, gives me the tour of the islands. I hit, and I'm selling my ass off. And this is where it gets really funny. Sell my ass off, get help to the back, sit at a chair, basically what would be their gorilla or their production area. And I'm sitting in this chair, and I look behind me because I hear a voice, and I look behind me, and it's fucking Bailey.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Oh my God, he fucked me up." "Yeah, I'm great. Whatever." And she laughs, and I was like, "Do you want this chair?" And she's like, "No, you just took that slam." And I was like, "I'm fine." Yeah. So I had a super, dude, it was just such a weird moment, like taking the tour of the islands. And then within 2 minutes seeing her, I'm just like, what fucking universe am I in? Like, this is so strange. But no, Dojo Pro was awesome. That was really cool because like now it's on YouTube, but for the longest it was only on Prime. After I had neck surgery, I was staying at my mom's while I was recovering, and I was able to show her that because like she doesn't have IWTV.
Right.
So I was able to show her that, and like seeing how proud she was of something so small was so cool.
That's awesome, man. Just for reference, if people get Dojo Pro, go look into it, go find it. The roster, when the tapings happen, we're talking Jeff Cobb, James Storm, Wheeler Yuta, MJF, Ricky Starks, Aaron Solo, Joey Janela, Cutler, Carey, Corey Hollis, Koo, Dominic, right?
I don't think Dom was a part of that. I'm trying to remember who all was. I know you nailed most of it.
I want to say that I was Swerve.
Yeah, Shane Strickland was there.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I mean, that's insane to think about now.
Talk about just knowing talent, because like just about everybody from that group went on to do. I mean, everybody from that group went on to do cool stuff, but a lot of them went on to be on TV and shit, which is wild.
It's insane. It was one of the coolest things that I got to the chance to attend. I'm very thankful to my buddy. I don't know if you know him. I know that Daniel, my podcast partner, does. Benji Brown is the one who got me in.
Everybody knows Benji.
Benji's the one who got me into that show, man. Like, it's like, that was amazing. As you're talking about focusing on yourself and focusing on what you want to do, obviously you have gotten into the VHS trading community. Mm-hmm. And I'm curious was that like, how did that start? Was that a tape trader thing? Was that just a passion that you discovered that would actually work out? Or
that was 100% a COVID took the biggest opportunity from me. So do you remember the random Saturday show that Sup did at Basement East?
I do.
So I got really drunk that night, and I woke up super early with the hiccups and moved to the couch so I wouldn't wake Brittany up, and pretty much stayed awake from then on. it was probably like 2 or 3 in the morning. I woke up and had a message from Brett Lauderdale saying, "Yo, want you to be the guy for spring break." Cool, I'm in. From that moment on, I said, it's not happening. Something's going to happen, and it's not going to happen. I knew. Sure as shit, it didn't. I don't know if I was supposed to ring announce all of spring break solo or what the plan was. But I wasn't bitter, but I was bummed about like that spring break being canceled because I knew that was going to be the biggest platform I was ever going to have. So rather than just like sitting around and being pissed about it like I would have like 6 years ago, I was just like, well, I have all these tapes. Some of them I don't really want to keep because I watched them and I have no desire to keep them. So I just started like trading and selling, and it kind of turned into, before I had neck surgery, I was able to quit my job and be like a full-time reseller for a while. And yeah, I'm the type of person that unfortunately always has to be doing something. So when wrestling got taken, I poured all my energy into growing VHS Party Tonight, which is my little side business, I guess. Yeah, that's, I'd go out and hunt and thrift and dig through trash and find all these gems that, people are looking for, that I'm looking for, because, a few people have just been like, oh, you're just a reseller, which is far from the truth. I have a whole room of tapes that I've, worked very hard to collect over the last few years, or recollect over the last few years. So, yeah.
Like going through and being able to like mark items up and understand what they're worth, do the research, you're passionate about it. That's very important. Reseller is not, calling you a reseller would be like calling wrestling fake.
Yeah, no, I agree. Because like, unfortunately and unfortunately for me, people come to me for horror tapes. I say unfortunately because sometimes they're not the easiest to get their hands on. But I'm able to sit and talk with people about movies, and it's really cool. It's become a really cool community. And I've met a lot of collectors in Nashville, and I've actually, got people started collecting tapes again. My friend Heather, we did a market together, and she stopped by my booth and she was like, "Oh, you're going to get me to start buying tapes again." And sure as shit, she asked almost like monthly, like, "Hey, do you have any of this?" or "Hey, do you have this?" or she's always buying stuff from me. So it's just been really cool to see people just appreciate that form of media again. And I mean, it's gone as far as like A24 put out a box set of VHS tapes of movies they've released, so people are picking up on it. It's real strange to watch happen in real time from where I'm at.
That's amazing, though. And I think the thoroughfare here, I would say, is just passion and pursuing what you want to do with genuine love for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And how that turns out, I mean, dude, you've everything you wanted to do, you did,
Yeah. I mean, this is going to sound morbid, but I could die tomorrow and I would have no regrets, because like just about everything I've wanted to do, I've done. I've worked in wrestling. I was lucky enough to do small things in wrestling in the Nashville Fairground, the original Nashville Fairground Sports Auditorium. I played a sold out show at Rocketown in the big room. I've gotten really lucky and done a lot of really cool shit. And it just, it seems like with each year I'm able to find more ways to do the things that I want to do. And they may be unconventional for some people, but for me, it's like I'm my happiest when I'm digging through trash and yelling weird shit and being drunk in a room full of people and just like living a very strange life. That's when I'm my happiest.
I think that we probably share that passion. Speaking of people who share that passion, my friend Mackenzie from All Hallows, yeah? You guys do markets together?
Oh, yeah, Mac rules.
Man, what a boss.
She could 100% kick the shit out of me.
Me too. Everybody. Yeah. Everybody on it. Like, absolutely fucking amazing. As we're wrapping this up, I guess the best thing I can ask is going to be, I'm sure that you have stuff to plug, not only like convention things, markets, so on and so forth, but we want to hear about everything. that you might be doing. So if there's a time to talk about it, it'd be now.
Sure. So I actually don't have any markets planned right now. April's kind of busy for us. Like, the things that I'm probably going to plug are shit that we're doing. Like, we're going to Drug Church on the 1st. We're seeing Obituary on the 9th, and we've got other things sprinkled in. I'm just honestly really excited to see live music again. Let's see. So SUP, the Return SUP show, New Direction, is April 17th at Basement East. The day before, I will be in New Jersey for Expect the Unexpected, Era of the Unexpected, which is a wrestling show that my friend Ryan promotes. I'll be doing commentary there. I think yesterday he just announced he was going to have Scoot Andrews on the show, which is fucking insane in 2022. I can't remember who all's been announced so far, but I mean, the first show was insane. Billy Starks and Masha Slamovich had like the match of the night, like right out the gate. And it was like kind of one of the most violent matches I think I've ever called. If you haven't seen that show, highly recommend anybody listening hopping on IWTV and checking out the first Expect the Unexpected show. Other than that, man, like sometimes I do sales on Instagram. My Instagram handle is at VHS Party Tonight. I'll probably do one in the next week or two, depending on how busy life gets. But I'm just chilling right now. I don't have any markets planned yet, but I know going through the spring and summer, I'll probably do like Music City Flea Market, or I know there is a punk rock flea market that our friend Mackenzie has her hands in. I will be at that. I can't remember the date on that. I think it's June.
It's at Eastside Bowl.
I think this one's actually on a farm. Yeah.
Did they not announce one at Eastside Bowl? I thought they did.
We did one in December at Eastside Bowl, which was insane. It was like, it was so cool. That place was packed for like all the vendors and the live music, and everybody was really awesome. It was probably the best market that I've ever done. But yeah, I just, I'll be out and about digging through, thrifts and, people's houses and shit, looking for tapes and all kinds of cool stuff. And sometimes I'll be doing commentary up in the tri-state area for Expect the Unexpected, because after I leave SUP, that's going to be my main focus in wrestling, is just doing commentary for them. But yeah, honestly, for once in my life, for as busy as I am, I don't have a lot to plug, which is pretty crazy.
Hey, man. I mean, I feel like you have a lot to plug, and I admire you a lot. I respect you a lot. Everybody here at Kayfabe Comparisons is a very big fan of yours. So thank you so much for giving us your time. I also wanted to just throw in one quick plug for the Sobros Network, who I know you're a part of. They've done really great work. It's very entertaining. I love listening to those shows. I hope everybody goes and checks them out. And yeah, past that, man, just thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you guys so much for having me. I appreciate, the continued support through. I feel like our paths have like danced around each other, and we've been around each other. Just like, I remember meeting you I think I met you at Exit In to like measure the venue before we went to Beast, right?
Yeah, well, okay. Yeah. Yes. We walked through that. I tried to move it to Marathon because technically, anyway, nobody needs to talk about why. Because we did that one show in kayfabe. But but yeah.
By the way, Marathon, I think Marathon is the perfect bigger production wrestling venue in Nashville that nobody's used. That is my dream venue.
They
for
did
wrestling.
do one show.
Oh yeah, didn't it?
It was terrible.
Yeah, somebody was talking to me about that the other day, and I can't even remember who. Oh, it was Capital. It was Capital.
Yeah.
Capital Wrestling. Yeah.
I had. I'll tell you where I really miss and where I really wish was continuing to happen was Little Harpeth, and I scored Burt Prentice that venue, and they threw a weekly. It was not very impressive, but at the same time, it was so spacious. The ceilings are high. There's room for everything. I was like, man, this is the move. And now it's gone.
Man. Before we go, I will say, that Basement East has been the most accommodating non-wrestling turned wrestling venue. We accidentally turned that into like a destination wrestling venue, which is fucking insane. Like, I've heard a lot of people say that like they have to experience a sub show in Basement East. Like, we've done stuff in like Indianapolis and Tampa and had a match in Jersey City, but like, you don't get the true sup unless you're at the Basement East.
That's very true. And I'll say there is nothing else like it. And I've echoed that sentiment to a lot of people. I think I know everyone on the podcast agrees, but there's nothing like a Southern Underground Pro show at Basement East. They have been extremely accommodating. Everybody there is into it, and everybody on the team the entire time has been into it, even people that aren't there anymore. It's amazing. And truly my favorite thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing like being crammed in that room on a rainy Sunday, because without fail, every time it rains. I don't know what it is, but every Sunday we have a show, it rains. And I've even heard stories of, staff members there just volunteering to work or wanting to work or just showing up when they don't have to be there just to like see the shows, which is like, that's fucking cool, man. Like, we can be seen worldwide, and we have been seen worldwide, and that's really cool. But the coolest thing in the world to me is making an impact at home, because Nashville has been Nashville is such an entertainment city now, between music and like stuff being, movies and TV shows being shot here, whatever. Nashville has turned into such an entertainment city, and for wrestling to still be a part of that. I grew up going to wrestling at the fairgrounds and all these little, Freddie's Auction House and Sportatorium in Columbia and the Grand Slam in Columbia and all these other places, to still be, putting on wrestling shows in Middle Tennessee means the world to me, especially something so punk rock and progressive and inclusive. That I think if I could deliver one message before we go, the mission from the jump, even if it wasn't necessarily outright said for SUP, was to make everybody feel welcome. And if there was ever a time where somebody didn't feel welcome, I hope that didn't deter them. I hope I know for a while people were coming to me, and I was doing my best to, either help where I could. And luckily we never had a big problem. But that was the goal, man, just to make sure everybody was taken care of. Everybody felt safe. It was a safe place to just have fun. You didn't have to worry about any, negativity or hate. You could just go yell at a wrestler and drink a beer, or, just hang out with your friends and just feel included.
Man, I don't think we could end it any better. Thank you so much for your time.
Hey, man, thanks for having me. Happy to do it.
Really appreciate it. Take care, bud.
Take bud.
Some Jesse on Jesse action.
Hell of an episode there. Jesse Baker always coming in clutch with these Baker's Dozen episodes. I love having it. Jesse Butler, man, dude, it's just crazy how the whole music scene and the whole wrestling scene tend to weave in and out, especially in this weird city. Man, what a good one.
Nashville.
I am hyped to have it. Lex, what'd you think, man?
Pretty fucking good. Yeah, I was. I don't really know the other Jesse of this Jesse on Jesse action very well, but this is a very insightful episode, and it was pretty cool to listen to.
Always. Jesse, man, how'd you feel about having Jesse Squared time?
The interview went longer than I anticipated and longer than I told him, but at the same time, we just know too many of the same fucking people, and you can hear it. Yeah. As the interview happens, we're discovering that at the moment, and man, I can't thank Jesse enough. I can't thank Southern Underground Pro enough. I am very, very, very excited for April 17th at the Basement East.
Hell yeah.
Last show with Southern Underground Pro, but I've never been disappointed by one single show there. Basement East is a fantastic venue to host them, and I couldn't be more stoked.
Awesome.
Hell
dude.
Yeah. Got to give a big shout out to our boy Alex Kane, who's going to be wrestling on that show, again with his tag team partner, Damian Tangra. And they're going up against Violence is Forever, who's going to be also wrestling in the Crockett Cup next week. So everything just ties together.
They didn't even announce matches. Jesse didn't know that.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Here's what
now we know.
T.
Now we know. It's going to be awesome. I'm excited, man. We got a lot of really cool shit coming up, too. Next week, we are covering the Crockett Cup, 2 nights of the Crockett Cup, and I spoke out of turn last week. I said it was already WrestleMania season. It is not WrestleMania season. I booked it a specific way. It's the NWA from today going up against WCW's Uncensored 1997. That's what we are actually covering. So it's the 2 nights of the Crockett Cup versus WCW Uncensored 1997. And then 2 weeks from now, that is when WrestleMania season will officially begin. We're going to do WrestleMania 18 from 2002 going up against WrestleMania 13 from 1997. That is going to be a banger of an episode. 2 really iconic WrestleManias. I'm really excited about that. Also, really excited to be covering the NWA for the first time. We got 2 weeks of a lot of really good content coming up here. What do you think, old Wexley?
I'm fucking stoked, dude. Definitely excited for the NWA. Do something a little bit different, and the fact that it's going to be here in Nashville. I want to go try to be there live if I can, but if not, still, it's just, hits home a little bit different. And, of course, Mania season, dude. Everyone loves WrestleMania, even though this year's WrestleMania is not looking as hot as years past.
It is
and
not.
The whole idea of a 2-night WrestleMania just still is lame to me. It just takes the prestige of WrestleMania away of being one night because, I main evented night 1, but did you really main event if it's not night 2?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I agree. I mean, I feel like at least we do have 2 awesome shows of years past to cover during WrestleMania season. So
for sure.
18 and 13. 18, I feel like is a very underrated WrestleMania, and then 13, just has some iconic moments. Jesse Baker, how you feeling about having the NWA for the first time on the show?
I absolutely love NWA. Controversially, I'm a very big fan of Billy Corgan, and the biggest reason for that is Josephus.
Yeah.
From
that makes sense.
RWA in Chicago and all of that other stuff. I think that Billy Corgan cares. He wants it to be around. That makes sense to me. I love all of it. I like the fact that Jeff Jarrett is going to be on the show. I like the fact that they're doing the Crockett Cup and they chose Nashville.
Yeah.
That's great.
I agree. I'm excited about it for sure.
Yeah, Jeff Jarrett is the special guest referee in that main event, so we could see some old Double J fuckery going on. Is all I'm saying.
I mean, I don't think it's I feel like it's impossible to not have that, but
come on.
I'm excited to see what we got coming up, man. We got a lot of cool stuff, some great nostalgia, some great current stuff. You can always find me at Daniel Daybreak. You can always find the show at KFabeCom on all of the socials, except for the TikTok. We're adding video clips up there pretty regularly these days, and I'm loving it. It's at KFabeCom Pod. Wex, where can people find you, man? Give them the script.
Oh, you can always find your boy Wex at Wex Breaking the Lawson on all of your social medias. And like I always say, you better get on there, follow that YouTube page, subscribe, tell your buddy, tell a friend, tell Lonnie from down the road, and listen to Kayfabe Comparisons.
Nice. Jesse, where can folks find you, dude? What do you got coming up?
So this is completely unannounced until now. First time it's been made public. August 19th, birthday show. Both Exit In and The Inn. Look What I Did are playing a show.
Love it.
Born Empty are reuniting for it. I've got like a million other weird secrets that I promise everyone will fucking be into. And just save that date. Friday, August 19th. And
yeah, absolutely. Very excited about the potential there.
It's like 6 months away. We got to keep that in mind. Yes,
got to keep that writing it down. Make the trip to Nashville, come hang out. It's gonna be a good time.
Bitch, I'm a planner.
Yeah.
The other side, Scott Hall thing. Want to revisit real quick. This is a quiz for just the two of you.
Got it.
What other wrestler can we think of that had 3 iconic themes associated with them outside of Hulk Hogan and Scott Hall?
3?
Yep.
X-Pac?
Yeah. Ooh, maybe.
Iconic in a good way.
I mean, the X Factor is iconic.
Yeah, it's not. It's bad. It's terrible.
I ain't doing Uncle Cracker, man. Like.
Oh, dude, I don't know, man. That's a really good one. I mean,
we can sleep on that, and it can be for next week. The only
maybe Triple H, I'd say.
Sorry.
Triple H. Yeah, Triple H. That's correct. The Game, My Time, and DX. Those are all fucking. Hey, those are all good.
Fair.
There's one. I got one. Another Click member, right? I mean.
Yeah, I mean.
Or Big Daddy Cool, you know.
No.
Yeah, the Wolfpack music.
Dude, Big Daddy Cool had like.
He had the Diesel music. He had the Wolfpack music and the NWO
music.
The Diesel music doesn't count to me as well.
Oh, okay.
The Wolfpack theme is the best one out of all three of those, to be honest. And did you know that was written by Jimmy Hart and C. Murder?
Oh, C. Murder.
That's going to do it for us this week, guys. We will check you guys out next week.
Free C. Murder.
We'll see you guys. Peace.
Peace.